Fantasy VIII is a very polarizing game among fans of the series. It's a lot like 13 in that respect. It has a lot of people who love it and think it's great, and it has just as many people who think it's the worst one out of the entire series. In a shocking turn of events, I happen to enjoy it a ton. It's actually my favorite Final Fantasy game, right up there with 9 and 10. And I just really, really want to play it. And I've been putting off replaying it for a super long time, and I thought, wait a second, if I'm going to replay a game that I really like and I have a lot of fun playing, why not do it for the channel? And so here we are. There's a lot to talk about with this game, from my perspective anyway, just because of how much I enjoyed it. I want to say it's the first Final Fantasy game that really grabbed me and didn't let go all the way through, but we'll get into that. For now, I'm just going to say hello, welcome you, and hope you enjoy the lovely opening cutscene. See you after it. Final Fantasy fashion, we can rename the main character. Or I should say, in true earlier Final Fantasy fashion, you actually cannot name every single party member you have in this game, but you do get to name Squall, and we're going to leave it at that because I always prefer to keep the canon, for lack of a better word, names for the characters. When at the beginning of this video, when I said that Final Fantasy VIII was my personal favorite Final Fantasy game, if you're at all familiar with the way that a lot of people feel about this game, that might be surprising to you, and I just want to clarify really quick that I do think that this game has quite a bit of gameplay weirdness and interesting, for lack of a better word, design decisions behind it in a way that I'm not even really sure how the developers wanted you to play the game. But anyway, we'll get into this, but I just want to say that the characters and the story, for me, more than make up for any of that. And I still think the game's a lot of fun to play regardless, but yeah. Another thing, and I'm sorry to keep interrupting the cutscene here. I promise that I won't be doing this very often, but I currently am not planning on reading the dialogue because I don't want to lessen the impact. That's not a very good way to say what I'm trying to say, but if this is your first time experiencing the story of Final Fantasy VIII, I don't want my voice to potentially take you out of any critical story moments or character moments or whatever. That's just my stance on it now. I'm absolutely not sticking hard and fast to that rule, so if you personally would prefer me to read out the dialogue, if it's helpful for pacing or whatever, just let me know and we'll talk about it and I'll consider it. Anyway, let's see what Quistis has to say here. This game does this so well. There are a lot of really seamless transitions into FMVs like that, and it always makes me so happy whenever they do it. I remember being very disappointed with that aspect of Final Fantasy IX when I played it, and that it didn't have nearly as many FMV transitions. Defiant confirmation there, slapping his hand on the desk. Oh, that is the menu button. Whoops. So I'm not going to just say that Final Fantasy VIII has the best Final Fantasy soundtrack, because it's a series that one of its most defining aspects being its soundtracks. But it's definitely up there. And I hope that if you haven't listened to it before, that this could convince you somewhat. So you'll notice that study panel in your seat were highlighted in blue, and they are actually really important. So we're going to go ahead and take a look. By sitting down, we have entered the Palam Garden Network main index. Here we have the tutorial, the basics about Garden, a message from Garden, Garden Square, and the school festival committee. We're only interested in the tutorial right now. Using this computer gives us our first two summons in this game, which is Quetzalcoatl, or Quetzalcoatl as it's translated in the other games he's appeared in, and Shiva, just classic Final Fantasy summon, always happy to see her appear. This is actually Quetzalcoatl's and quite a few other summons' first appearance. So as you can tell, there's a lot of information here that we could possibly go through. Luckily, I have done 2 playthroughs of this game before, so I think I have at least some semblance of enough of a grasp to not worry about this. Oh no. Oh, I was expecting the students to still be here and wait for me. Well, we didn't miss out on anything, but basically those 3 students represent the Trapeze, quote unquote, which is Quistis's fan club. Her last name, by the way, Trepe. I have no idea how to actually pronounce it. Could be Treep. There's no accent mark over it, but I always say Trepe. Trepe could also be correct given the name of her fan club, but I always read it as Trepe. Given Squall's track record in the minds of most people who've played this game and are aware of him, I try to make him as nice as possible when the game lets me. So I feel as though this is one of those, have you played the game before? If not, here's a tutorial, or not necessarily a tutorial, but it gives you more familiarity with the school and the surroundings, so I'm going to go ahead and select it. It's pretty fast. So our objective is the directory, and this is something that I can show off that's really cool. In Final Fantasy VIII, the maximum number of party members is 3, so you'll never have more than 3 people in your party. This was the first game in the series to have your party members actually follow you around. As you can see here, this girl isn't a party member, but functionally she serves as one to show off the follow mechanic that your party members have. I was really surprised that they did away with this in Final Fantasy IX and even X, which was the first jump in generation of the PS2, but anyway. It's a really nice detail that I like a lot. Well, take care, very somber. So the 7 cards that we just received are our gateway into the mini-game of Final Fantasy VIII, which is Triple Triad. It's a little bit more than just a card game or mini-game in this game. It's actually something that you can really horribly abuse to make your characters extremely overpowered, extremely early. I'm not going to go ahead and say that we won't play Triple Triad, but for the purposes of this playthrough, I'm just going to consider this kind of a casual replay. I'm not going to go for 100%, and I'm not going to try to get all the ultimate weapons. I'm not going to break my characters to one hit or very few amount of hit bosses. But you might see some Triple Triads still, because it is a really fun game to play. The only thing I absolutely am going to do is I'm going to get every summon, including the optional ones, because they're really neat. And I just want to show you guys that really badly. So all the Triple Triad cards are based on enemies and bosses in the game. My favorite of the 7 is definitely Gesper. He's a pretty cool guy, as you can see. But I've wasted enough time. Let's get moving. So, this line about the hot dogs is much funnier upon getting further in the game. Nice of the game to give you a little reminder there, just in case you forgot a few minutes ago. Classic Squall. Nice little Sid reveal there. There's a Sid in every Final Fantasy game, and I always love how varied they are. Alright, let's use our first save point here. Now is probably as good a time as any to say that I am playing my PS1 copy of the game on my PS3. There is a PC port, and it's what I did my second playthrough on, and it looks a lot better than this, but for the purposes of recording and playing, I think that it's ideal for me to use my PS3, so I'm sorry if the visuals are not what you're accustomed to. They definitely PS1 visuals. So you can actually use the directory to fast travel, and we're going to do that right now. We need to go to the front gate, but first we're going to drop by the library. Kind of inconvenient that the fast travel there puts you right in front of the loading transition into the library rather than actually inside the library, but doesn't matter. So NPC chatter in this game is actually pretty helpful to pay attention to, especially for aspects of world building that may not be necessary to understand for the main story, but they do help to give context to things. For example, this NPC right here is talking about a country called Estar that was governed by an evil sorceress a while ago. And we obviously don't know because we are the player experiencing this world for the first time, but neither does this guy. We don't know what happened to the sorceress. I guess we can only hope that the game will eventually answer this poor individual's question. These pink or purple, I'm not sure, pink or purple lines here are a drop point. They represent a drop point and they're distributed throughout the game. Obviously, none of our party members, who is just Squall at this point, has the ability to draw yet, so I'll have to remember to come back here, but I shouldn't forget. It's basically a well of magic that you can absorb from. Here's the item I came in here to find, the Occult Fan one. Let's take a look at it. The description says that it is a World's Mysteries magazine, scoop issue. If we interact with it, we'll see Occult Fan 1 exclusive Mysterious Monster Death. Odell Burke, 67 of Timber, was tending to his field when he found a dead monster after hearing a loud impact sound. Mr. Burke said it occurred while he was making a fence with steel pipes, an extremely strange death, and if you look at the bottom right, you'll see a very spiffy Mr. Burke there, all dressed up for his tabloid debut. So I'm not going to say what that's for yet, but keep it in the back of your mind. Like way, way back, because it'll be quite a while before it becomes important. Oh, whoops, didn't mean to transition there. Maybe not all NPC chatter is helpful to look at, but it does still help flesh out the world a little bit and make it feel a little alive. Now that we have the first Occult Fan magazine, oh, missed the door there. Now that we have the first Occult Fan magazine, we're gonna go ahead and go out to the front gate and meet Quistis. Unfortunately, there's no way to quick travel back to the directory, but it's really not that far. It's amazing how soothing this song is. Goes for pretty much the entire soundtrack, really. Just gonna ZZC, and I will let him ZZC in peace. Here's another draw point, but obviously we cannot use it yet, so we'll just have to remember to come back here as well. Alright, so here we get our first explanation of the junction system of this game, aka one of the biggest reasons the game is so... has some people torn on it, or the reason why some people dismiss it entirely. We'll also get an explanation on GFs, or Guardian Forces, which are the names that summons go by in this game. So, I definitely would agree that this game suffers a little bit from a common video game problem, which is tutorial overload. There's just a lot of information thrown at you at once, and I understand that a lot of it was may have been intentional to let the player figure out how things work on their own, but I think Final Fantasy VIII's pretty brutal. Basically, aside from earning experience from battles, you also learn AP, which is basically a second type of experience that goes towards the certain skills that your summons specifically can learn, and I'm rambling hardcore anyway. And these things on the right is what it's explaining are some things that Guardians forces can learn. And basically for each character you set your active skills at the top here, which get added into the battle menu. The secondary skills are just passives that you can equip at the bottom, and each character can equip too. Luckily, you don't really need to know this for the purpose of watching the playthrough. I do, and I have an okay grasp on it. And once again, I'm rambling. Hopefully I can curb that. So for example, when a character, if I were to equip this match plus 20% to a character, that character, whenever they use magic, would have 20% additional damage. And yes, that was just a announcement that we'll be getting another tutorial rather soon. And here we are with the best Final Fantasy field theme, as far as I'm concerned. This is Blue Fields, and it's just lovely. Quistis said that the Fire Cavern, Quistis, who's in our party now, by the way, as you can see, she's a level higher and has more HP, but that doesn't matter. The Fire Cavern is right over there, and we will head there almost immediately in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. This is just the beginning of a very long series, so I hope you'll check out the next one, and yeah, have a good night, or morning, or day.